Hey everyone, it's the Monty'man, and you are about to take part in the experience, the strength, and the hope of this episode of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show.
Stop right there, everybody. This is Cecil, and I have been given the task by the KHLT Recovery Broadcasting Board of Directors to be the guardian of the gate here at this station. So I only have a few questions for you to answer before we begin. Now hold your answers till I'm all done. All right, number one. Are we all wearing our Area 51 compliant oxygen security mask covering our nose and mouth? Question number two, are we all adorning our CDC certified hazmat suits complete with parachutes just in case we need to jump ship? And number three, are we all practicing anti-social distancing? And finally, number four, did y'all bathe in 50 gallons of Smirnoff hand sanitizer before coming in today? Well, did ya? Huh? I didn't think so. I was just checking. Okay, Monty'man, you may continue.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Come here for a minute. I want to talk to you. Mama says you're brain dead.
Bang your head against the wall.
Can't find peace of mind.
Brain needs an overhaul.
Bonehead, brain dead.
We're all the same. When your heart is in pain.
Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
The views expressed on this broadcast of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show are those of the co-host and guest and do not necessarily reflect those of our affiliates. The topics and opinions on today's show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice. Take 12 Radio is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here's your host,
the man, the myth, the legend.
Legend.
the Monty'man.
I'm telling you the truth, man, I ain't gonna lie to you.
I would not lie to you, Marv.
Good guys, bad boys, we're all the same. Saved by
Grace is the name of the game.
Turn around, hit the ground.
Time to lay your burden down. Well, welcome one and all to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. Welcome back. We've been doing a lot of broadcasting, bringing... you okay there, Marv?
Excuse me.
He's okay. He's okay. No COVID on this end, right?
No.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of remastering and doing some editing and bringing some older shows back. We've been doing bringing back Step by Step Towards Emotional Sobriety with Dr. Alan Berger and special guests. And we're going to continue to be producing those and rebroadcasting those as well. But we are back in the studio. The whole gang is here. Denver's back from sabbatical. Denver!
Hello.
Denver.
Yeah.
What's happening, man?
It's good to be back.
It is.
It really is.
We're really glad to have you. And
You're looking good.
Thank you.
And there's Marv.
Howdy.
Hi, Marv.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and Margie.
Hello.
And Dave Fleming. Yeah, everybody's here.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah. All right, so there we go. Dave, you're just so weird. So it's good to have you all back in the studio. Dave, how you doing, bud? Your back's a mess. We know that, right?
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, other than the back thing. Yeah, back pain is no fun. Margie, what's going on? How have you been weathering all this anti-social distancing stuff?
Gosh.
It's been a challenge, right?
How do I say this?
Say it.
Causes me a lot of annoyance.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marv, what about you? I got a phone call from Marv when we shut down the studio for a couple of weeks. He was not happy with me. I just want you to know that I am distraught. In fact, he called me at work. He was pissed, weren't you? You were a little annoyed.
A little upset. But we don't need to get into that right
Well,
now.
the truth be
It's a
known,
long
I
story.
was actually on the same page with you, but I was just trying to do, I don't know.
I voiced my same concern at one point. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, what? Why?
Yeah. So, but I will tell you, I started to enjoy the break a little bit, and not so much anymore.
Yeah.
You know. So I read this article that if you owned a company, if you were the owner, constitutionally, you could deem whether it was essential or not. And I thought, well, this is Take 12 Radio is essential. So there you go.
Yeah, this whole thing has been a very burdensome thing. You know,
It has.
I ended up, whatever you want to call it, lost my job because of it.
Even the one in Corvallis?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Yeah.
they're such a small company, they're not sure if they're gonna, how long it's gonna take for them to recover, and
Right.
they gotta, keep
Boy,
essential employees so
Yeah.
they can get up and going again. So I'm hoping, something
yeah.
plays out.
You're
but
essential.
it's been a tough, right. I may just go ahead and hang my own shingle out there and.
Which you've threatened to do that before. You should just do that.
Yeah, the only challenging thing is it would have to be a cash business because
Right. Because of all the, yeah.
here in Oregon I wouldn't be able to bill insurance.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, anyway, anywho, we are back in the studio. And by the way, some really great news. And I'm a little confused about the platform you were talking about that you sent me. So we'll talk about that at another time.
Sure.
But we are now on all your favorite social podcasting platforms, including now Google Podcast and Stitcher. So that's amazing. And then I found out something very interesting. We're actually on hundreds of podcasting platforms that aren't your mainstream ones, like, your mainstream ones are Stitcher and iHeartRadio and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google and all that, which we're on all those. But there's a ton of them we're on that have picked us up because we're on those.
Right.
And my son Cameron was showing me Play FM's one of them. There is just, we're all over the place.
They partner with the big boys.
They do.
So they get to use their content.
So I'm looking at my
free.
stats. I'm looking at my stats for my downloads, right? And we're averaging 4,000 downloads a day. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Well, then I started finding out why. Because there's all these other platforms that are, not necessarily mainstream, but a lot of people use. Like my son uses Podcast Addict. We're on Podcast Addict, So, yeah, that's a trip. That's amazing stuff.
That's huge.
Yeah,
4,000 a day.
That's crazy,
yeah.
dude.
It's there is this, as they say, a silver lining in
Right.
this whole lockdown is more people are finding us, and
They are.
so
Yeah. Yep. Good deal. And there's going to be a promo for Podomatic, but Podomatic has just agreed to give us unlimited storage. We pay for Podomatic, right? But not the fee that will be required for unlimited storage. So we can store as many shows and archives. There's just no limit to it, and they're giving them to us. Because they're very pro-recovery. So evidently some family members and so forth involved in the recovery community there.
Wow.
So we're really happy about
Where
that.
are they based out of?
I think they're Southern California. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. I got to find out. But I'm pretty sure. Maybe Silicon Valley. Maybe Tennessee. Maybe Mississippi. Could be Florida.
Wow. That's all over the map.
They're in Russia.
Yeah, it's Russia.
Right. So anyway, good thing for that. Good deal. Nope.
And now it's time for of the Monty'man.
That's right.
Weekly whine. Because he always has something to whine about.
That's for sure.
Stop crying.
That baby sounds a little like Dave.
I think I hear the ambulance coming.
So you guys have heard me talk about the salad bar sloths before, right? The people at the salad bar that
All too often.
right that want to. Well, now because of COVID-19, now we have grocery store shopping sloths. Okay, now ideally you're supposed to stay 6 feet apart, and then they got these little stickers on the floors in some of the stores, where you're supposed to stop.
Or the arrows.
Or the arrows.
This
right?
way only.
Yeah. Or the plexiglass in some stores that run the entire length of the counter, and other ones that are just like, 3 feet, and then they reach around anyway. I mean, a lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I just love these folks. Listen, if you're going to the store in this situation, have your shopping list, get what you need to get, and move on. It's ridiculous. Oh, look at Johnny. Look at Ritz Crackers has a new animal-shaped cracker. Oh, gee. Should we get that? Oh, there's the low-fat one.
That's what happens when you're locked inside at your home for too long.
And I'm standing there,
Exactly.
and I'm going, get your crackers and move on. Oh, I dropped the box. Fred, could you pick up the box for me, please? Oh, look down here. There's a new seltzer water. I'm like, get what's on your list and get going. You know what I mean? It's like they're only letting 100 people in the store at a time anyway. Get moving. The other thing is, if you're going to wear a mask, put it over your nose and mouth.
It's probably going to benefit better that way.
I wonder about the ones you see going around with the mask on their chin.
Oh yeah. Well, I've seen people when they're talking to each other, they'll take the mask and put it down below their chin and talk to each other and then put it back up again. I don't understand. Yeah. So that's about all I have to whine about. Margie, you had something you wanted to.
Well, yes, I do, actually.
All right, let's have it. Let's have it.
Well, it's, of course, related to this whole COVID virus thing.
Yeah.
So, it's really...
Pull your mic a little closer to you. There
This
you go.
really annoys me because that we are supposed to pump our own gas now. And
Oh, are we?
yes. It's not mandatory, but at least the station I go to,
Right.
which I guess I won't throw them under the bus.
Yeah, throw them under. We do that all the time.
Go ahead and do it.
Well, it's
We love that.
It's Fred Meyer's. I always go to their gas station.
No relation, by the way.
No.
Okay.
It just annoys the heck out of me because I do not want to pump my gas. And maybe I'm being spoiled. Maybe I'm being stubborn.
Yeah.
Or both. Or I don't know. But so the last few times now when I drive up to get gas, I just am sitting in my car waiting for these waiting for someone to walk up and help me. And there's like guys just standing around. I don't know what the heck they're doing. But the last like 2 times I've had to actually get out of my car and walk up to their little office area where they're just standing around and just say, I don't want to.
Essential.
Yeah, I don't want to fill up my own car. So here's my car over here. So you need to come fill it up.
Wow.
And anyway, it just annoys the heck out of me.
Well, the thing that I don't get is if everybody and their brother is touching that nozzle. I mean, if this thing is real and as crazy as they say it is, that doesn't make sense to me, right?
Yeah.
So why not have the same gas station attendant touching the same nozzle all day long, or at least the 3 guys
With gloves on.
with gloves on,
Mind you.
instead of everybody pumping their own gas? I don't know.
It bothers me.
There's a Shell station by my house.
Yeah.
I sat while my wife was in 7-Eleven. I was watching, and they would this girl would come out and wipe down the pumps after people would come in and pump their own gas. Only she would use the same rag on every single pump. I'm like,
Spreading
what
some
is
germs.
that? Yeah, I was like, how's that
Yeah.
even helpful?
Anybody got anything to whine about? Denver, you haven't been here in a while. You got to have something.
No.
No?
I really don't.
Oh, right
You know
on.
what? Life is good.
Yeah.
It's locked down. I don't like that necessarily.
Right.
But I don't visit a lot anyways. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, you got your own place since you were last year?
I
yeah.
do.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
It's 55 or older, so it's quiet.
Right, except for the dog.
Except for an occasional dog will bark. You know, and
Who he tried to find a home for,
That's
unbeknownst to the owner.
neighbor.
yeah, it's been okay.
Well, that's-
lockdown is not favorable with me. I like socializing a little bit.
Yeah.
My thrift storing and everything else. But
And you're a people watcher, right? You like watching
we'll-
people, right?
We'll get through this.
Yeah.
You know, and we're going to get back to normal here shortly.
Well,
I hope.
You know the slogan I really hate is that we're all in this together. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
Or the commercials from the state of Oregon,
right?
Saying stay home and don't kill anybody. So you don't
Yeah.
stay home so you don't
there's
kill
a
anybody.
guilt
I'm
trip,
like,
huh?
what the? Only more people have died from the flu than the. Never mind. Let's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's
and,
a
and
whole
don't
different
misunderstand.
train right
don't
there.
misunderstand. We here at Take 12 Radio take this thing seriously, but at
Right.
some point, you've got to implement Rule 62, not to take yourself too seriously. You'll lose your mind here. It's crazy. So, yeah. So enough whining for the moment. Anyway, I think we got some. Yes.
Excuse me, Monty'man. Excuse me.
Yes.
Don't you have something positive to say?
Maybe.
Something that's a bit of a win rather than a whine?
Can he
Yes.
be
That's
replaced?
Right.
Can you be replaced?
No, Cecil.
Hey, listen, I want to congratulate all the graduates that didn't get a commencement, ceremony or a graduation ceremony from elementary to moving on to middle school to high school and on, colleges and universities. Congratulations. That's a lot of hard work, kids. Good for you. And the win for me is our son, Colin Montgomery Meyer, graduated George Fox Christian University on Saturday with his degree in music education and pre-teach. That a lot of hard work. Congratulations, son. Good job. And they're going to have a ceremony, hopefully in August. But that's a lot of work, that kind of education, and we're really, really proud of him. So that is definitely what I would call a win.
That's a win.
Yes. Well, it's really a win once it's all paid for.
Said and done.
Then it's a win. All right. The topic this week is cash register honesty versus rigorous honesty. And so we'll be back right after this message with that topic. Don't go away.
We're stuck here in the house for the next 4 weeks or so. And we won't be going out because the government said no. Just my mother and my father and my sister and me and little Maisie too. So for the family sanity, can't you see what we must do?
Hey, you got something to say? Are you looking for the best and most affordable way to broadcast your podcast? Well, Podomatic makes reaching a massive audience simple with free podcasts, customizable embedded players, and promotional tools. It's home to the world's largest directory of independent podcasters, including DJs, talk shows, educational programs, and so much more. Best of all, a basic account is absolutely free, and no special skills are required to set up your show. To broadcast your podcast, visit www.podomatic.com. That's PODOMATIC.com. And let the world hear what you've got to say.
Hey, check it out. The best in recovery talk and positive music radio is now available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and Podomatic. Simply visit any of these platforms and search for Take 12 Recovery Radio. Listen and download hundreds of our shows for fun and for free. Also available at take12radio.com.
bustle, people that jostle by. One day's just like the other, deja vu. I'm an extrovert pining here with nothing to do. I play far too much solitaire. Makeup, hair are useless, no one minds me. Oh, how I need some human touch. The animals have had enough. I'm going crazy. Somewhere into the future, we'll be fine, and they'll beat COVID-19. Well, it will be about time. Self-isolation, all alone. I'm stuck at home. Oh, why, Corona? Why?
For more wonderful COVID-19 parody songs.
Where do you dig that stuff up at, man?
Well, that's what I do.
But he got lots of time on his hands to do it.
Yes.
No, if you'd like to enjoy many, and I downloaded a ton of them. There's so many really good ones. In fact, we're going to be closing out a show with a parody on All By Myself. There's so many really good ones. I mean, some of these people, their ability, their talents, way exceeds anything you've ever seen on American Idol. I mean, they're really good. And so it was really hard to pick which ones I wanted to use for the show today. But just go to YouTube and type in COVID-19 parody songs. There's a ton of stuff. Some of them are real goofy. Some of them are really highly professionally done. But they're all hilarious. I mean, if you got nothing better to do, it's sit at home and watch YouTube. Do that. It's good stuff. All right. The topic on the show this week is cash register honesty versus rigorous honesty. And so what is the difference? So, Dave, you were going, aren't they the same thing? But Marv said, no, they're not the same thing. Marv, you want to expand on that for a second? What's the difference?
Well, this is just an opinion, okay?
Yeah.
So we all know about that.
Sure. Mine are right and yours are sometimes right.
The cash register honesty thing, just to be kind of glib about it, is like, well, I want people to think I'm a good person, so I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, you know. Oh, is this your $5? I found it, and that kind of stuff. And the other one, to me, is a deeper thing where we know what our real condition is, which has to do with, well, the Bible talks about it, and I got mad when I read this because it says the heart is deceitful and wicked above all things.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, wait a minute, that's not right, because I do this and I do that, and
the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as I pondered it for quite a while, it dawned on me that, okay, wait a minute, what are your motives? What are you trying to arrange? How are you trying to manipulate? And I realized that that's a true statement. And so that's how I see it, as two different things.
And in fact, in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it talks about this manipulation that we do as alcoholics.
Yeah.
Where we'll be basically, my paraphrase is, we'll be mean and nasty and controlling and everything. But on the other hand, we'll be very gracious and polite. And which reminds me of, when I want something from my wife, I'll say, honey. That'd be really nice, Or if I'm like cleaning the toilet, she's like, what are you doing? What do you want? Nothing. I'm just cleaning the toilet, which I never do, by the way. So if I do, something's up, right? So I know what you're talking about. Does that make sense, Dave, to you? The difference between cash register honesty and rigorous honesty?
I get that. Where my brain is at now, it changed back in 2004. And so when I basically, was a changed person, got into recovery, it's basically, I try to be, who I am in the daylight and in the darkness and in every situation so that I don't have to but I get the whole rigorous honesty thing because I've even recently been rigorously honest with people and, they don't want to hear it or they don't know how to respond. It's like going to speaking of cash register, it's like going in the store and the cashier says, how's your day going? And you go,
do you want rigorous honesty?
I'm like, it's been really, it's been really crappy today.
Right.
My truck broke down and my dog got run over by a car and, a plane fell on my house, whatever it is. But they just kind of look at you and gloss over. And it's like, so, sometimes when you say cash register honesty, that's kind of like, I say good, but even if it's not good, but I get it,
Yeah.
But when I first got in recovery, I did that just to see what people
see what they would do,
how they would react. It's like, do you really want to know, or are you just,
how long you got, that kind of thing?
Are you just, and I guess that is what I think of like cash register honesty is like, it's superficial and you're not really, you or the other person or both don't really want to know.
Yeah.
They just are just being, polite or whatever. Cause I try to be honest in everything that I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to worry about, it's the old, if you always tell the truth, you don't have anything to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and some of us don't remember much anyway.
Right. I'm having trouble with that lately too. And
right.
It's like, where did I put my keys again?
Right.
Oh, they're in my hand.
Right. Chemtrails.
Yeah. Right.
So what about you, Denver? What do you think?
Rigorously honest. When you start searching your soul, that's when you get honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And what you share with others, we always like to put this facade that we're doing well.
Right.
But when it comes down to time, rigorously honest is rough. Sometimes it's alone, and you have to figure that out.
Sometimes it's alone?
It's alone. You're in yourself, and
Gotcha.
You're going,
Oh, okay.
How am I? You ask yourself.
Mm.
And there's been times that cash register I love.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this and that and everything else.
Yeah.
But when I'm alone at night and sleeping,
yeah,
it's rough sometimes.
Right.
But it's part of my walk, anyways.
Margie, what do you think?
Well, I pretty much agree with what these guys all said. For me, cash register honesty is kind of like they said. It's like I'm gonna be honest as much as I have to, and and this was me like when I was drinking and using heavily. But a lot of times I I just didn't tell people what was going on with me or what I was doing. And so in my distorted mind, I was thinking that I was being honest because I didn't say I wasn't doing it, but actually it was, it was lying by omission because I wasn't being honest about what was going on in my life. And, it's just like a million little things with that whole cash register honesty for me. It's like, I want people to think, I would want people to think well of me.
Mm-hmm.
And, but then I'd go to the store and like, how the carts have the bottom part. Like I remember one time of course I was drinking and stuff, but like I had a whole huge rack of steaks on the bottom, and I think I had an 18 pack of beer, and for some reason the clerk didn't see that or ring it up, and I got out the car and I'm like, oh my gosh, they didn't ring this up, and I was like ecstatic, but I was it
must be God.
Yeah, it's totally, it's ridiculous. But now that I'm I'm sober and I'm working a program, and in the, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so ago, I was at the store and they forgot to ring up toilet paper or something. I'm like, I have to take this back and pay for it. It's just different now. Even when nobody's looking, I feel like I want to be honest. And so I'm working the steps with my sponsor, and one of the steps, step 4, where I took, where you take your personal inventory,
Mm-hmm.
I really had to get honest with myself, rigorously honest. That was really hard because I had to actually write down and think about, talk about to my sponsor, all these things that I did that were not good things to people I loved, my family, my friends, and accept them and also acknowledge my part in them. And that, even though it was really hard, it was really necessary for my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, at this point in time, I try to continue to be, rigorously honest as best I can. And, none of us are saints, so we're not going to do it perfect. But I'm really trying to practice that right now.
Yeah. So what kind of inspired me to do this topic was I was reading on social networking, somebody in recovery who's actually been in the recovery support meetings, if you will, for quite a while, had posted that they had found this. They were outside of a establishment, and they had found a wallet, and it had a couple $100s in it, but there was no ID. There was a couple $100, and I guess there was some pieces of paper with some scribble on it or something like that, and they had found it, right? Because there was no ID, they felt like they weren't obligated to do anything other than keep it. And it was interesting, some of the responses. I mean, first of all, I don't know that I'd be posting that, but especially if I was intending on keeping it, but knowing the circle of people that he knows. And so he was getting some interesting comments like, is that really integrity, man? Shouldn't you taken it back into the store and at least turned it over to Lost and Found? Or, what's the deal? You better, some people were pretty kind about it. They said, oh, you may want to check yourself on that one, but I get it. Other people were kind of harsh and like, what's wrong with you? And I got to thinking about that. What if that was me? What if I was walking, let's say, by the DMV and I picked up a wallet and there was money there and no ID? Or, would I be going, oh, I've been praying for some extra cash? God is blessing me, right? Or would I take it into the DMV and say, I found this outside? I got to tell you, for me today, it would have been an automatic response. I could not pick that up and in good conscience hold on to it. I just could not. But it wasn't long ago that would not have been a problem. So then I got to thinking, and I think Denver, we may have talked about this a long time ago. I got to thinking about the whole outside food in the movie theater thing. Movie theaters typically will have signs posted that say no outside food or drink allowed on the premises. Well, that's understandable. They make the majority of their money from concessions, not from the movie.
The $15 candy bar.
The $15 candy bar. And I've had this discussion with people before, and I said, so, I think cash register honesty is what everybody else sees, and rigorous honesty is what happens behind closed doors and nobody else knows, or in my heart that nobody else may see. So, there was a time that I would take the kids to 7-Eleven when they were little, and we'd load up on candy, and we'd shove it in our pockets, make sure we had coats with big pockets, that kind of thing, and we'd sneak it into the movie theater. And then the kids got a little older, and they called me on it. Dad, are we supposed to do that? Because doesn't the sign say this? And it was like, busted. I'm busted. And I never did it again. And I had to make amends to my kids because that was teaching them something that wasn't right. But I had a lot of, and I haven't done it since. But I've had a lot of folks tell me, well, look at, this is the way they justify it. They overcharge, but I'm hungry when I go. I'm like, well, then eat before you go, But they overcharge. That's a big one. And I'm not paying that. I'm going to sneak it in anyway. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're truly working an honest program and you've been doing it for a good length of time, what would be your take on that? So I'm going to challenge you guys. Dave, you're first. What do you think there, brother?
What do I think about what?
Do you have
movies and candy bars?
Movie theater and
you have no problem sneaking in food when they're asking you not to?
Wow. I would have to say that we've been guilty of that,
Yeah.
To be honest, me and my wife. And my wife will grab a freaking rock star and stick it in her purse.
And you got to open it and go.
Well, they sell them in there now. They sell Monsters.
They sell booze in the theaters now too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
We will bring in a candy bar or whatever because
What about the wallet sitting out on the sidewalk?
Here's and this ties into my control issues that I still have. But I would have went into the business and I would have told somebody at customer service or whatever, hey, I found this wallet. If anybody comes in, here's my number, and then I would have them call me and describe what else was in there, and then I would give it to them. And if I didn't hear back, I don't know what I would do. Probably, who knows?
Right.
Keep the money, donate it. Buy some stuff and go down to the or spend it at thrift store, or something where it's
beneficial
maybe giving back.
Yeah,
I don't know, because that's I was challenged like the week I got out of treatment, and I was like the whole saved and sober and all that.
Right.
It was crazy. The first week I went to the store and got back too much change. Right, so I went back in and I let them know, and they're looking at me like I'm goofy, or they didn't, a can of green beans fell through and got missed. So I go in there, to pay for it.
Yeah,
and most people, I guess, would have just said, whatever. One day I walked out and there was a shopping cart next to my truck with a 4-pack of wine coolers. Right?
Yum.
And that was like, and it was the same kind that me and my wife used to drink. So,
right.
I mean, I went back, took it back in to customer service, and I said, hey, someone left this out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Before I came out here, I was at Menards about a month before, and I was doing some work on the house we were living in, and I bought a sander, a belt sander. And I get out to the truck and I realize I'm looking, because I'm thinking, this doesn't add up. And I'm looking at the receipt, and sure enough, they didn't charge me for the sander. It was like $90. So I went back in and, I paid for it. I said, hey, and the lady's like, can you hang on a second? And then she goes over and grabs somebody else, brings them over. And then she says, well, tell them what you told me.
Right.
And they're both kind of looking at each other laughing. And then, it's like, again, it's like, why? But I understand that, that person that's at that register is going to have to cough up that lost money when their drawer doesn't add up.
Yeah,
many
times they are responsible
I wouldn't
for that,
want to be, I wouldn't someone, the old, how would you want to be treated? And I wouldn't want someone to do that to me.
Yeah.
Because, obviously the person was new and was being trained, and so whatever. But yeah, that that movie theater thing, that it's sitting here thinking about it before you asked me that question. I was like, man, we still do that, and it's like without even
thinking about
it, but other things like
right, sure, like a wallet or something like obvious, you just you take care of it. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, and there's different degrees of this to consider, I guess. I mean, what about the phone booth you're standing in, and there's 50 cents still in the thing?
What's a phone booth?
Yeah, what's a phone booth, right? I don't think I'd think twice. I'd grab the 50 cents and put it in my pocket.
Right.
Who am I supposed to give it to? I mean, even though I was convicted about that, should I call the operator, say, Ma Bell, here's 50 cents? I probably...
Well, if you're in a phone booth, you'd probably use it to make your call.
I'd probably use it, yeah. But I mean, I guess you could get ridiculous. Marv, can you get ridiculous to where it's kind of silly? Or...
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
But I do... excuse me. I do want to say one thing. I think Denver said something that might have went over a lot of people's heads.
Okay.
He said, at night when I'm alone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important to me, because at night when I'm alone is when I have opportunity to get with the Lord and talk about who I am, what I've done, who have I affected, what do I regret, and I know that sounds kind of like pious or high and lofty or something, but that's what I do.
Well, and our literature talks about that, right? Reviewing our day. Yeah.
And on our coins that we get, it says, to thine own self be true.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, if I'm not doing that, then, as far as honesty goes, right there, everything's went out the window. And a lot of times at night, alone, I'm not very proud.
Yeah.
And it might have to do about what I said to somebody, what I didn't say.
Right.
When I had opportunity to give and I didn't give. And resentment about my little pea brain thinking about how somebody should be or not be, or how they affected me. All that selfish stuff, which is part of our MO. And so to me, Denver said a whole bunch right there. At night when I'm alone, that really hit me.
And so that reaches beyond the material, finding the wallet, sneaking food in. This goes to a clear conscience. This goes to your moral obligations. This goes to, are you being honest with you? Looking in the mirror, the man in the mirror, that kind of thing.
And that puts some weight. AAs, generally speaking,
right?
They throw around these things. They've got the
platitudes and all. Yeah.
And one of them is what goes around comes around, and that's just kind of flipped out there glibly. But the fact of the matter is that is exactly a spiritual law.
Yes, it is.
And
you reap what you sow.
You reap what you sow, and part of that has to do with me reaping, has to do with what it is going on inside of me.
Yeah.
Because I will reap that stuff back. It's going to come around. Anyway.
So I think.
Sorry.
No. That's really, really good, because it's beyond the material honesty thing, and is because I think what you're talking about and what you were talking about, Denver, is when those things are straightened out, the kind of stuff you're talking about, the other stuff will follow. The wallet, the movie theater, that kind of stuff. Even to the degree if somebody asks about how's your day going, you can kind of sense when they really want to know, and when it's just a fly by night kind of thing. So as people in recovery, a lot of times we are not rigorously honest with ourselves about our own recovery. You know, I've worked the steps. Have you
go
though?
along with that. I agree with you.
Yeah. So somebody says, "What step you on?" I'm not. Are you though? Yeah. Oh, I've read all the steps. I've done all the steps. How long did you take to do your inventory? What? Do you know about an inventory? Yeah. Then you're whispering over to your neighbor, "What's an inventory?" So Denver.
Yes.
Howdy. What about, let me ask you, what about being rigorously honest about how you're feeling about your day? Like we're talking about, how you doing kind of thing. You've always been a guy that has no problem saying, my day sucks. Right?
Really? Am I that guy?
At times.
Maybe.
So my question before you answer it is just because it's true, should you always say it?
Oh my goodness. That is a baited question.
It is, isn't it?
It really is. I don't know if it's necessary sometimes to just unload on somebody.
Yeah.
When they ask that question.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't think it's wise maybe to unload on somebody.
Right.
And just full blown let them know just how you're feeling. But on the other hand, if you don't have somebody to talk to, you really should pick and choose who you're going to share your intimate thoughts with. So, I don't unload on everybody. And I pick and choose my people.
Right.
That I'm going to say, hey, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's hard because you don't know what, it's...
Yeah.
You kind of know what the responses are going to be, whether they're genuine or not, or if it's just, and just an example, because what you're saying is like, I was having a really bad day or bad week, a while back, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. And I posted some things about how I was really feeling on Facebook, trying to see if, kind of fishing a little bit, see if, anybody's paying attention, if anybody gives a, rat's patootie or anything, and I get responses back from the the usual suspects, and, call your sponsor, go to a meeting, this
all the pat answers.
Pass, it's about grace, not about what you do. Right.
Yeah.
One of those things, and I'm just like, you know what? Shut the hell up, because that's
so nobody said, "Wow, that must really hurt."
No, they said like call your sponsor, or journal, or think about what you got, or what do you make a list of what you're grateful for? And I'm like, I don't really want to hear that. So I
what
know
did you
of
want?
Those answers.
What did you want to hear?
I just wanted somebody to say, hey, what's going on?
What
How
the
you
heck
doing?
is going on? Huh?
Right? Like, I'm here to listen. Give me a call or whatever.
Yeah.
And
so sometimes we don't want an answer. We just want to know that somebody's got some empathy, right? Like, wow, that must be really tough. I am so sorry you're going through that. You give me a call.
It would have been nice just to get even something like that, without
right.
even like, hey,
right.
Give me a call, or
right.
Message, do the messenger thing or whatever.
Right.
And I did get a message from one of my my old home group people from Minnesota, because I've been going on there. They've been doing the Zoom meetings. And he was having trouble the week before. His brother passed away, and he was had a bunch of other things going on. So I reached out to him, and after, I don't know, I think it was Sunday or Monday, he just sent me a message, said, "Hey, I missed you at the meeting on Saturday."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was like, it was just a little short, sweet comment, but he was the only one that just said, "Hey, missed you."
Yeah.
Which says a whole lot to me. It's like someone is, thinking about you.
They missed you.
Taking the time to actually, how much time does it actually take to type a couple words? Right. But they actually took enough thought and time just to do a couple seconds out of their day.
Yeah. Yeah. So just because it's true, should we always say it? I mean, my friend Mark Lundholm, a recovery comedian, had a little ditty that he talked about, if you're in an elevator filled with people and you have gas, it may be true that you let one rip, but should you say it? I mean,
what do you mean? Like, hey, I'm going to let one rip?
Yeah, that was me. just because it's true, it may not be the appropriate time to spill your beans. But
would you get out on the next floor and do it, and then wait for the next elevator? And
sometimes you don't have any control over. Oh my gosh, I love it out at the center when somebody lets one go and it's one of those silent but deadly ones.
Right.
And the whole room gets up and moves, and the poor guy's like studying or whatever. And he doesn't even realize they've got up and moved. And it's like the target is on that poor sap, man. So we're almost out of time, but I wanted to touch on this one thing. So I know a gentleman who recently shared with me that one of the things that he doesn't do is he is not honest with it, and him and his wife they're not like alienated, they're close and everything. But one of the things he does not do when he feels like using is he doesn't share that he feels like using, and then he ends up using. And his pride and his embarrassment and his shame, he won't be rigorously honest about it. He cannot bring himself to a place where he can say, "Honey, you know what? I feel like using." And because he doesn't say anything, and he won't tell his sponsor, he won't tell his home group, because he's been sober for a while and he feels like that is going to play against him, or he feels like people are going to look at him weird or whatever. So he doesn't do it, and then he ends up relapsing, and he gets a couple more years, and then it kind of comes back and he won't talk about it. That's not good. Right?
No. I use sarcasm a lot.
Yeah.
Like, man, I picked a bad day to quit drinking.
That's a way of saying, man, I feel like a cold one really bad.
Well, it's one of those things, and I do it in front of my wife, a lot of times, because she's like, what are you, an idiot? That's just dumb. Shut up. Right? It's like, I should just go out and get a bag, and, I need to lose some weight. Let's go get some meth.
Let's get the guaranteed diet plan, right?
Let's do this right.
Right? And so we she just kind of gives me that look, and it's like, you're an idiot. But for me, I have to use kind of humor to do that.
Right.
Even if I'm thinking about it, I always play the tape through, and I don't want to, even if things get really bad, things aren't really that bad.
Right. But you'll talk about it, at least to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Margie? Were you ever at a place in your sobriety where you felt like taking a drink, but you just did not want to tell anybody?
Oh, many times over the years. And, it, of course, led me to relapses. And so now, for instance, it's been over a year, but my husband passed away back over a year ago, and I really wanted to drink. So, and I I ended up going to my AA meeting and sharing all that, and that's what I needed to do, and it stopped me. I did not drink, and once I shared it, it like took the power out of it, and I got support, and I realized, of course, that was not an option, and that was definitely not a solution to anything. But now, if I have some kind of a craving, which, knock on wood, I haven't had for a long time, but if I do, I will definitely talk about it, because I know that if I just keep it to myself, then past experience shows me that I'm going to end up drinking over it.
Right. Yeah. Marv, back in the day, did you have a hard time talking about it, if you felt like it?
I remember an incident when I was about 5 years sober. I went to, and I've told this before, I think, but I was with a man and his wife, friends of mine, at a Elks at a Christmas dinner, and it was community table type thing. So there's lots of people, beer all over the place, and all of a sudden, I got this overwhelming desire. I smelled the beer, I saw the beer, and everything but reach out and grab one type thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh crap, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I turned to my buddy, who he knew I was in recovery, but he don't know anything about it himself. You know? But I knew I had to say something. And I thought, well, this is stupid. Why would I say something to him? Because he don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, in my mind, I didn't have a choice. And I turned to him, I said, Max, I want to drink so bad I can't hardly stand it. And he looks at me like I'm some kind of weirdo.
Yeah.
But it went away.
Yeah.
Margie's absolutely right. If we can get to blurt it out, that for some reason that really works.
But you got to have people in your life or be around people on some kind of regular basis that you can do that with and aren't going to run away from you or say, well, gee, I wouldn't thought of that of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
or why don't you drink it?
I thought the funny part was this guy, he had no idea about this stuff, so it was like talking to the chair. You know? But it worked.
Right. Yeah.
But he was there.
He was there. Yeah.
Amen.
So what about you, Denver? You think it would have helped before in some of your struggles if you had picked up the phone and said, you know what, I am this close to picking up a drink, or would it not have helped?
It would have helped.
Yeah.
Rigorously honest at that point would have helped.
Yeah.
But when you're in addiction, you don't always that first drink. It's like, no, I've got to hide this. There's a shame factor. There's all kinds of things play into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can blurt it out and then go, hey, I'm hurting right now.
Right.
Even if they don't understand it, maybe that's enough that you're going to not take that drink.
Sure.
Yeah, that can lead us down a whole another topic, but that first drink, what usually happens to a lot of people, especially in early recovery, is that they take that drink and nothing happens, right? And then you're like, okay, and then a week later, you may have another drink.
You're sauced out,
right? And then it kind of progresses from there. That's what happened to me before the last time that I went in treatment. Is just slowly went right back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there are some folks that would say, when people say, well, if they're sponsoring somebody, I want you to be rigorously honest about your temptations. So before you drink, call me. And I've heard people say, if I've decided to drink, I'm not calling you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
not
drink.
making that call.
I'm going to drink, right? So which tells me that for many people, it's when even the slightest bit of an itch starts to happen, that's when you need to speak up. not when you're already grabbing for your wallet, your car keys to go down to the liquor store. By that time, you're probably
Right.
committed.
And that's the benefit of going to meetings, often.
Right.
Especially in early recovery, because then you're getting that on a ongoing basis, daily or every other day or whatever. That's the only thing that I think saved my bacon.
Yeah.
Is going to meetings every day for almost 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. It's important to be in the middle of the herd and stay in the herd and be involved in the herd and not isolate. I think learning not to do that is where we can learn to find people that we can be rigorously honest with. So when the time comes, they're not going to run away. And we've got some people in our lives that can do that. And it's not always your sponsor. Somebody, it's the person sitting next to you. If you have any comments about rigorous honesty versus cash register honesty, you'd like to email us. If you have any comments at all and you're on Podomatic, you can comment. In fact, with all the not social networking, I always say that, with all the podcasting platforms that we are now on, you can comment on a lot of them. You can share them. You can download these shows. They're for fun and for free. And we're going to close out this show. But any last thoughts from anybody? I'll go with Denver first.
Howdy.
Any last thoughts?
It's good to be back, actually.
It is.
It is good to be socializing. So
yeah. It's really good to have you back, man.
Thank
really,
you.
really good. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Marv, any closing thoughts?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
It's empty up here.
It's empty. Okay.
It's all spilled
I'm
out
just
now.
going to say what Denver did. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Glad to be back.
It is. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Margie, closing thoughts?
Just ditto, I'm glad to be here with all you guys.
Good deal. Dave?
Yeah, it's good to be back. But I would just have to say for anybody that's out there struggling with their addiction and feels like they're alone, we're always here for you. But also don't, you have to ask for help. Go online, do a Zoom meeting, or if you can find a meeting that actually meets in person.
Right.
With precautions or whatever, don't hesitate to do it. Because there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, and isolation is not a good friend of addiction.
No, it's not. So thank you guys. It is really good to have you all back here in the studio. And so we'll be back next week as well. And then the third week of the month is Dave Fleming's show, entitled to Overcome Solutions for Life Today. You guys are always welcome to sit in on that, by the way, as well.
For sure.
And then we're going to be continuing to feature some of the older shows, usually the last week of the month, and then the step-by-step toward emotional sobriety shows we're uploading every single week. I'm shifting those to probably on Thursdays. So be checking those as well. But you can visit all that stuff at take12radio.com on your internet dial. To close out the show, you don't want to take the advice of be by yourself. We have this social distancing thing, or what I call anti-social distancing. But you don't want to be by yourself completely. You got to pick up the phone. You got to talk to people. You can text, whatever you do. Don't isolate to the degree where it is a complete isolation. It's not healthy for you. But here's a parody on COVID-19 about being by yourself. We're going to close out the show with that. It's called All By Myself.
How's everybody doing? A couple of weeks of this now. Are you feeling like I am? Because I'm one of those types. I'm an extrovert. I constantly need someone. I'd go to parties, they were fun. Those days are done. Saying hello, I'd hug everyone I know. Especially if you're a bro. I can't do that no more. All by myself. Gonna be all and my spouse. She's introverted like a mouse. But now she needs to leave the house. She needs to get out. 'Cause now she's all by herself. Usually likes it, but right now doesn't wanna be all by herself. Mostly indoors. Yeah, she's all by herself. No, she don't wanna be all by herself anymore.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for another fine episode of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. Listen, just a reminder, we are in our 16th season of this thing of Take 12 Recovery Radio. And listen, if you would like to help sponsor us, no amount is too small. A donation would be very well received and appreciated. Simply visit us at take12radio.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the page. On the left-hand side, there's a little orange button that says Donate. Click on there, follow the directions, and thank you very much for your support. Nobody gets paid here. All the money that's raised goes directly for maintenance of our equipment and to keep us on the air. Thank you in advance. Listen, until next broadcast, this is the Monty'man reminding you, don't take yourself so doggone seriously, would you? We can rise above this thing. We already are. Until next time, we are wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
Good guys, bad boys, we're all the same. Saved by grace is the name of the game. Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
'Cause she's a super cat, she's super kitty, meow.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Meow.